Hitting record. Yep, hitting record would have been the smart move there. Okay, evening. It is... oh, I don't know. 11:50 p.m. on November 29th, 2020. 2020 Sunday evening. I should be asleep, but I'm not. I've had a migraine all day. Or at least most of the afternoon and evening. I was laying in bed and trying to shake the migraine, shake the headache, and God, you know what? I'm gonna turn off my second monitor too. Darkness. Oh, God, that's better. Was laying in bed trying to shake the migraine. Laying in bed underneath my blankets in a dark room. Walled off by blackout curtains from the rest of my apartment, which has blackout curtains and soundproofing and even if it's not external noise, there's internal noise that'll keep you awake, or at least kept me awake. I'm not tired. I'm really not. I have energy enough to stay awake, get work done, be productive, read, learn. But like, if I were to say like an inch to the left of the very center of my forehead is where my migraine is, and it's very commonly in the front left-hand side. Right before I started streaming or recording or what have you, I popped a couple of acetaminophen, or as my first aid kit calls it, not aspirin. So that should kick in and help a little bit. I generally don't like taking painkillers or medicine in general. I'm stubborn and well, more so than being stubborn, I like feeling out the limits of human experience. Like if I'm in pain, I want to feel what that pain is like, unless it's just like agonizing. And I've had a few types of agonizing pain in my life, but for the most part, I don't know. And I've talked about this before. It's grounding in a way. It's really quite grounding to feel pain. Yeah, I was laying in bed, trying to sleep, and then giving up and looking on Twitter or Reddit, and then giving up and trying to sleep more. Rinse and repeat for a fair part of the last 2 hours. Oh, Alex, just don't sleep with your phone. Oh, really? That easy, huh? Wish I had thought of that. Oh, God, my fucking head. It's stress related more than anything else. It's like, well, I'm able to pay rent for December. Then I have no revenue stream. And I'm not really hopeful of getting a revenue stream, at least not soon enough to be able to pay for January's rent. And I've applied to 123, at least, 123 positions that I've copied over to my spreadsheet, which probably means I've missed a few. positions in November. I'd only mass out to like 3 or 4 a day, right? But, month's not over yet. Not quite. Hopefully I can bump that number up quite a bit, either after I'm done streaming here, probably in the morning. Really doubt there were many listings posted on a Sunday, but who fucking knows? I really do feel that there are some important and productive conversations that we can have, and maybe should have, surrounding life. Like, life in the sense of, why am I alive? What do I live for? What am I living for? So much of it, so much of it is, it's inertia. I work to get money to buy food and shelter and necessities so that I can live. And then just the weight and the entropy and really the inertia, not the entropy, the inertia of that mode of consumption, that mode of subsistence just carries you on. You produce and you consume, produce and consume, produce and consume, and then it's over. It's always kind of bugged me that you don't get to opt into life. Or at least, not as far as any of us can remember. Like, I didn't ask for this. Oh my god, what is that cyberpunk game that I'm thinking of? Deus Ex. Was that Human Revolution? I think. I really don't mean to broach this subject in a macabre way. It's just there are times where I feel like I'm able to stop for a moment and just feel the ancient, rushing energy of the world that I'm supposed to be swept up in. See it in all of its fiery, chaotic, mindless momentum. And wonder at, what it's all for. Why participate? Why be a part of it? Why subsist? Why exist? I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some things about living, things about existence are quite nice. And even the bad parts can be quite powerful, quite inspiring. The whole idea of chiaroscuro, light and shadow, dark and light. that without bad moments, the good moments wouldn't have context. Without plain pain, we wouldn't have pleasure. So this isn't like some emo why me have to feel bad, me no want feel bad kind of tirade. Really, I don't think describing this as a tirade is tonally accurate. It's just it's a fundamental question that I find myself asking every so often. You know, why? Why am I doing any of this? Why am I waking up in the morning? Why am I cooking and eating and working and paying bills and not just doing something else? Whether that something else be breaking with norms and conventions of society, going to live in the woods, or just taking a taking a nap with the fishies, or what have you. You know, whether not doing, in air quotes, this, into air quotes, would be breaking with societal cultural norms, or just, I don't know. When there's nothing outside of life, outside of this. Now, I'm not really in a rush to not be extant anymore. Right, there's some things about being alive that I really enjoy. But, I mean, life is really hard to find value in when hundreds of thousands of people in this country are dead, and it seems like no meaningful action is going to be taken to stem that tide. That once vaccines are available, people will just be expected to pay for them out of pocket or through private insurance, and the government will again take no responsibility. And 10 years from now, this will be cast as a failure of individuals to prepare themselves. Or, oh, they got sick and died because they didn't believe in masks. Or because they were lazy, or stupid, or went to parties or weddings when they shouldn't have. Rather than taking collective responsibility. Or assigning responsibility to those who actually have the power, influence, and capital to have saved these lives. That aside, my normal agonizing over politics, economics, life aside, why do anything? Why build anything? Why create anything? Because the thing you build or create will eventually be unmade through entropy, through decay, through radiation, through intentional destructive acts, unintentional destructive acts, geology, stellar phenomena. I mean, so much to the point that, even recorded information can't lasts forever. In life, temporal existence, even, is this, and I'm sure that just got incredibly loud, is this constant Sisyphus-like task of rolling that fucking boulder up the hill only to have it never quite reach the top. But unlike Sisyphus, eventually the materials and the energy used and consumed in this task of creation and destruction, of legacy and rebirth, the usable energy will be gone. You know, there's some interesting ideas for civilizations at the end of the universe, civilizations after the death of stars, civilizations that could exist theoretically off of the radiation put out by black holes. And that extends the timeline for civilization, or legacy, or life, or temporal existence. But eventually you really do hit a point where it seems like that the tendency of physics and chemistry lead to the conclusion that you'll hit a heat death, a kind of null point where there is no easily usable energy, and everything is just kind of evenly distributed and inert. Not completely inert, but like largely inert. And I do like to hold on to the fanciful notion that maybe we can invent or imagine or create our way out of the heat death of the universe, or whatever other possible means by which it might end. Us or some other form of intelligent life. Or temporal existence. I say temporal existence to de-emphasize the word life. Life tends to focus on biological intelligence and temporal intelligence is what I'm saying, because we are temporal creatures. We exist with a perception of time, and artificial intelligence, synthetic intelligence, uplifted biological intelligence all would be temporal intelligences in that same respect. It's a silly distinction and probably unnecessary to be making, but I mean, even if there were some guarantee that the universe were infinite and unending, I suppose that wouldn't give life any more meaning. Right? The fact that it has an almost certain end strips away at these illusions that we have of permanence, of legacy. It undermines a lot of the sense of order, the accumulation of power or wealth or influence or prestige, and control. Right? It really paints control as a fallacy and an illusion, a comfortable illusion, but an illusion. If the universe were infinite, then those wouldn't be fallacious anymore, I suppose. They wouldn't be fallacies anymore. They would be, you know, believable, achievable goals. I guess there's something romantic in that notion that's attractive. In the same way that religion is, I suppose. I just... I want to be able to live comfortably, to help make other people's lives comfortable, bearable, happy, and fulfilling. I want to live in a way that helps other people live, lessens other people's suffering, enriches other people's joys. And it's so heartbreaking, consistently heartbreaking to live in a culture, a society, an economic system that does not value that as being good enough. It's all about how much my labor can be profited from and exploited and disproportionately shared with me so that others can benefit from wage theft. God, I hate so much of what we treat as normal. I don't want anything for Christmas, right? I don't want new toys, I don't want new games, I don't want new shit. I just want to be okay. I want other people to be okay. But, I mean, the truth of the matter is I'm not going to be, probably, and other people aren't either. I had a conversation with my dad yesterday, day before, or something like that. One of those hour-long phone calls I've talked about where we... to be like, yeah, no, everything... nothing really is going on here, and then just trying to find stuff to fill the air with. Meandering conversations that don't really have a destination in mind, just more of a reminder that we both exist. I don't mean to paint it that way in a bad light, just it's a very unique kind of conversation, and not one that I'm really prone to. Typically, when I set out to say something, or set out to have a conversation, it's with an objective in mind. My dad called and he's like, I had made a post about having a panic attack. Which, honestly, sounds more exciting than it is. Anxiety attack is probably more fitting. He's like... he asked, how are you doing, or are you doing okay, or something like that. I'm like, I'm fine. Or I'm good, or something like that. His response is, are you? I'm like, no. No, I'm not, but... no, I'm not dying. what's kept me awake tonight is that I don't think I'm going to... I'm not optimistic, right, about getting a job or getting a job soon enough to make rent for next month. For January, I should say, because it's still November. Now, if I'm not able to, neither of my parents can lend me money. I don't think any of my extended family can lend me money. And even if they could, I don't know if I could ask. And the idea of getting a loan would be... I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that unless I could give some evidence I'd be able to make a return on it. And I'm not sure that I can. And God, the idea of going back to work in person right now just... it's so unappealing. I mean, it's normally kind of baseline unappealing, right? But this is so fucking stark and apocalyptic, and just like... apocalyptic isn't the right word. It's... oh, come on, Alex. Use your vocabulary here. Dystopic. It's so dystopic. The United States this year is showing itself in true form. It's old and decrepit. It's rotten. Festering. Hundreds of thousands of people are dead, and Wall Street is hitting all-time highs. The richest 10% have more wealth than ever before. But no aid is going out to those at risk. The police are continuing to assault people in the streets. I mean, new cases of police brutality and police violence in the United States occur daily. It's impossible to keep up with it all. And these militarized police forces, all the money we put into them, but we can't give a mask to every American. Apocalyptic might be right word because it actually means revelation. I sorta... apocalypse carries a lot of the notions... also, hi Luke. It carries a lot of the implications of... apotheosis, right? This idea of a period of fundamental change, of irrevocable change, of transformation through destruction. And I really don't feel like we're getting that transformation part. We're just getting the destruction part. Yeah. Who wants to live in this world? Not who wants to live, right? There are things in life that are beautiful and exciting, thrilling, inspiring, but this world that we have right now, like, what? How in the fuck is any of this desirable? Yeah, I really like to think. Now, I'll read your comment out so it doesn't just sound like I'm talking to myself. I don't believe that there's a bottom per se, but the average person can only be pushed so far. Maybe. I think we have a lot of tolerance in the United States, obviously, for how far people are willing to be pushed. Yeah, France right now is obviously displaying some amazing responses to just fascist legislation making it illegal to take photos of a police officer there. What's been going on in France is absolutely inspiring. There have been burned police vehicles in Portland in the last few days, which is, kind of rad, dude. India has had a protest of 200 million. 200 million against their right-wing government. This fucking incredible number. But yeah. But here in the United States, we just suffer. We suffer quietly. Because it's virtuous to suffer quietly. Because we have this notion that the meek will inherit the earth, that if you talk about being in pain, if you talk about struggling, if you say, hey, I need help, that's shameful somehow. That people are poor or homeless or suffer from whatever because of some vice in their character, some flaw in their character, rather than it being an intrinsic characteristic and flaw of the system that we exist in. And the consequences and failings of capitalism are in the United States explained as the failures of individuals. Yeah, it's that whole if you keep your head down and work, you can be successful too bullshit. Yeah, just put your nose to the grindstone. That garbage, lift yourself up by the bootstraps. And I don't know how it's so successful. I really don't. I don't know how people are so cowed by it. And I mean, obviously, less now than for a long time in this country. I mean, the amount of people who are being pushed into progressive politics, leftist politics, even libertarian politics, I see as a point of note. It's noteworthy that the system we have is failing people so drastically, so consistently, so systemically, that it's actually shaking Americans up to do something, be politically active more than once every 4 years for the first time in the better part of a century. But, God, I don't know. I'm really not optimistic right now. Especially about the short term. Right? The short term, I'm not optimistic about. Like what I need is a subsidy check for really like $2,000 by the end of next month, and that's not happening. I'm not getting any aid. Any at all. Guaranteed. God damn, just the fact that I can apply to 123 fucking positions and hear back from 3. It's just absurd. Absurd, and none of those 3 actually followed through. It's just crazy shit. No, I'm not alone in this. Like, I try to emphasize this when I talk about this. I don't feel particularly victimized. There are so many fucking people that are struggling right now. Yeah, it's hard to be hopeful. And normally I'm able to sleep. Normally I'm able to just put it out of my head and go to bed, but just couldn't sleep tonight. Just had a migraine, and... yeah. This is definitely a weird time of the year. Right? There's so many people talking about how, oh, these vaccines are gonna save us. These vaccines are gonna get things back to normal. And I just, God, how far does your head have to be pushed up MSNBC's or CNN's ass to think that the world works that way? To think that just because some rich people are going to be able to get access to a vaccine that is not produced at scale right now, is not distributed at scale right now, even if the vaccine becomes available before the end of the year, which it probably won't, it won't be available for the vast majority of people. And if it's free, if it costs money, what the price is, that's totally up in the air. And there have been polls over the course of this year showing, statistically, people in the United States, what percentage would actually get a vaccine if it were available. It's only like 40% of people. Only about 40% of people, when polled, said that they would get a vaccine if it were available. Now, a lot of that is coming from the things I'm speaking to, right? Concerns about availability, concerns about accessibility, concerns about price. And the amount of uninsured people in the United States is astoundingly large. And even people who are insured, if you have a deductible of, 5, 6, 8, 10,000. 10,000 would be high, but I have friends who their deductible is even $8,000. At that point, you functionally don't have insurance. You really don't have insurance unless something fucking horrible happens to you. I mean, God, prior to this year, something like 20 to 30% of Americans, somewhere in there, live paycheck to paycheck. Now we're sitting around a quarter of Americans are unable to pay rent or their mortgages and haven't been able to since like June. Oh my God, yeah. Even if the vaccine went perfectly and was free and was produced on scale and was delivered via mail, even if it were a fucking pill we had to take once and done forever, even if, we woke up tomorrow and COVID just fucking magically disappeared, the economic impact of the last 10 months, 10 months, is almost impossible to overstate. This is far worse than any crash and any economic crisis we've had since the Great Depression. It might even be on par with the Great Depression. The reason why it's hard to draw comparisons is we just don't have good statistical analysis for the depth of the Great Depression. It would be nice if China were to distribute vaccines to other countries, provided the vaccine they have works. I mean, these people talking about how excited they are for Joe Biden to be in office and us to get a vaccine in 2021, it's just this stupid, naive, lib bullshit that happens every year. Like, oh, next year is going to be better. Why? There's no material reason for it to be better. Next year is going to be worse. In all probability, by the end of January, we're probably going to see at least 300,000 dead total in the United States. At least. And that is based off of data from like November 15th, I think. So that isn't. There's no telling how high the spike we're on right now is going to go. It could get significantly worse than that. Like, there are still bodies in freezer trucks in New York that haven't been buried, that have been sitting there all fucking summer long. There are prisons that have had to conscript prisoners to dig mass graves all across the United States. Things have been so bad in Texas that the National Guard have been called in to help clear out the backlog of bodies at morgues. You know, more than a quarter of American households can't pay rent. I think something like 1 in 8 or 1 in 7. The 1 in 8 statistic goes back to June. American households have had trouble feeding themselves. It's probably higher than that now. These problems don't just magically fucking disappear. A massive percentage, I think maybe as high as 20%, I hit the mic, 20% of small businesses, 25% of small businesses have closed in the United States, have closed due to COVID and the surrounding economic crash, and will never reopen. We have not seen a crisis this bad. Not in recent memory, not in well-recorded memory. Even if nobody else died, this would be the 14th or 15th worst epidemic in human history in terms of mortality rate, fatalities, whatever. I'm a broken record. I feel like such a fucking broken record because I've been saying it's gonna get worse. This is really bad. The economic impacts are gonna be terrible. I've been saying this shit since March. I've been going on and on and on and on and on. And God, I'm a 28-year-old fucking nobody living in Seattle, Washington, who has an undergrad education in history, sociology, anthropology, and psychology. Social sciences major, right? And if all those fucking months ago, I can be like, wow, we're gonna hit some problems with this and that and this and that and this and that, and just be consistently right about it. I mean, I'm not going on about how smart I am. I'm trying to emphasize how fucking obvious this was. Ugh. And at this point, Americans are just so tired of it, so sick of it, so over it, that they just want to get back to normal, whatever the fuck that is, and pretend like this is all over. Oh, I really don't know what the other side of this looks like. Because we haven't stopped sliding downward. Things haven't stopped getting worse. Yeah, I've been having that same conversation with people, Luke. It's and you're absolutely right. The shocking thing is the reluctance of our leaders and representatives. Like, Jay Inslee, our beloved governor here in Washington, not a bad guy. He, early on in the pandemic, said that, oh, you know, I really don't have the power to give money to all these people or to freeze rent payments unilaterally. He does, though. The reason a lot of these fucking cowards haven't been doing things is because it's been an election year, and so many of these goddamn Democrats have been trying to appeal to moderates, and the Republicans have been trying to appeal to their base. A governor has the authority to levy special one-time taxes on, say, Amazon, and that money could easily have been used to help subsidize rent, to pay for food programs, to pay for PPE handouts, to just to do so many things. That's just a one-time deal. One-time deal would have been super easy. I mean, governors can use the fucking National Guard for something besides beating up protesters. Right? The National Guard could, like they have in so many other countries, hand out food door to door so that a quarantine across cities and states is possible in order to stop the pandemic from getting worse. It works. It's clearly well documented in many countries. Yeah, no, if Amazon were forced into funding a bailout, they'd spin it. Bezos would absolutely spin it and be like, oh, we're doing this enthusiastically because we care. You know, some horse shit like that. I mean, I'm on an Amazon service right now, right? I mean, fuck, you and I basically live in an Amazon-owned city. I feel like I just lack the capacity to be happy about things right now. Here in Seattle, the SPD's budget was cut by 20% for this year, which is, you know, nice, but when we had been out protesting all day, every day for Check's calendar, damn near 200 days, saying 50% at least, you know, doesn't really feel that great. Yeah. Yeah, things are gonna get worse. And I don't want them to get worse. I don't. Jesus Christ, early on when I was talking about this pandemic, and I was giving out estimates, I'm like, worst case, 100,000 people would die. But surely, by that point, even the people who say, oh, this isn't that bad, surely by that point, we'll lock down and take this seriously like we should have from the beginning. It never happened. America really does have that kind of notion that, like, it can't be that bad. Like, surely someone else will do something kind of attitude. Just across the board. God, that I forget what that's called in psychology. It's a fallacy that bystander fallacy, maybe. Bystander effect. Yeah, the bystander effect is when the presence of others discourages an individual from intervening in an emergency situation against a bully or during whatever. I mean, even if you look at the social media feeds of people in Senate and Congress, they're just like, somebody's got to do something. Yeah, assholes, it's you. You're the ones who need to be doing something. I feel like such an exhausting person to be around or to talk to these days because, dude, American capitalism is collapsing. It's catastrophically collapsing. And I'm tired of acting like things are okay. I'm tired of being like, no, you know, we'll get through this. We might not. Things are gonna get worse before they get better. Hopefully not that much worse, but judging by the behavior of people around Thanksgiving, with Christmas around the corner, I'm very pessimistic. I'm very, very, very pessimistic. And shit, with Trump saber rattling with Iran right now. Yeah, thanks, buddy. I like me. But when I talk to some friends and they're like, oh, I want to go out to the bar, or I want to go out to... My Indiana friends particularly are... They're bad at quarantining. They're bad at staying at home. They're just kind of bad at this shit. And, like, one or two in particular... and it drives me crazy. They're not someone I'm particularly close with. They do the whole, I don't want to talk about politics. Like, I don't want to talk about that right now. That's depressing. Yeah, motherfucker, it's depressing. And it's real. And it's constant. You can't just say, I don't want to talk about it. You were just the embodiment of privilege. And oh my god. Yeah, like I said, I'm not particularly close with them. Otherwise, I would rip their fucking neck off with my teeth. About how fundamentally problematic that attitude is, but they're somebody else's partner or former partner, former partner, and you know I'm generally an amiable person. But like, Jesus Christ, come on, the world is on fire, man. We should act like it. Well, at least the acetaminophen made my headache go away. Yeah. I don't know, shit's fucked. What is that acronym? Situation normal. It's like FUBAR, but snafu. Yeah, situation normal, all fucked up or all fouled up. Yeah. We got ourselves in a snafu here. Yeah, snafu. Situation unchanged, still fucked up. Susfu. America sus. Situation unchanged, still fucked up. Yeah, that works. Snafu is a great word. Dates back to 1940, 1941. There was a series of instructional cartoons featuring Private Snafu, who just did things wrong. was a private in the army that just did shit wrong. There's something very charming about the old 40s cartoons. you know, a return to the 1920s, 1930s, Great Depression, it sucks. It sucks. Yeah, well, I'm glad you're doing all right, man. Hey, you're doing better than I am, I hope. I just wish that and you know, there are so many passionate, progressive, revolutionary even people here in Cascadia, let's say, here in the West Coast, but particularly here near us in Seattle and down in Portland too. There's so many amazing people in these communities and in our community. It sucks so much that they are minimized and ostracized and pushed aside by the opulent amount of wealth that we have around here. I, you know, I am very concerned about the next month, what I'm gonna do. The month after that, who fucking knows? But I, I'll probably figure something out. I'll probably be able to work something out. I'm not, you know, crying that the world is ending, the sky is falling, right? I'm not even really asking for help. if you know, people happen to know of a position around the Seattle area that pays, like, I don't know, ideally like 19 an hour or more, but I know that's an unrealistic ask. All I want to do is work from home, get a livable wage. That's really the goal right now. But the work from home thing I've thrown out of the window for the last month, and I'll be fine, or I won't. But you know, I'm fine now, and I'm doing pretty much everything I can, everything that I can think of. And that's all I can really do. So I'm not like I'm not panicking, but it is a very strange feeling. Feeling like I'm staring down not the barrel of a gun, because that's a little too drastic of a metaphor, too strong of imagery, but it does feel like I'm staring down a dark tunnel. And it's scary, but the predominant feeling is not like, oh god, what am I gonna do? It's more like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing, right? Big air quotes around supposed, and it's just nothing's happening. Hmm. I mean, it's kind of impressive. I've managed to live 9 months unemployed without falling into any deficit at all. That's an accomplishment. It really is, given that, given what my cost of living is here. Yeah, but I'm fine, and this has been very meandering. Normally when I do one of these Let's Talks, I sit down with something more specific in mind, but tonight it's mostly been, I have a headache. I'm alive, so I wanted to make some sort of content, right? I've been updating shit, but I haven't really been posting on YouTube or Twitch very much, so I'm alive. For now. You know, I'm fine-ish. Yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap up here. I'm probably gonna go turn the lights on, maybe make some tea, try and code out a system or two for Stellaris, and because I made the promise like a week or two ago that, oh yeah, I can have this new mod done by the end of the month, and maybe if I work tomorrow, I can maybe get that done. We'll find out. I want to work on it tonight. Yeah, I have no idea when I'll be streaming or recording or whatever, anything else. I'm playing Call of Duty most days, these days, because it's just easy to hop into, and I have enough friends that do it. I'm modding and playing the hell out of Stellaris, so that's probably a lot of the content that's going to be on here, and obviously the best place to keep up with me is Twitter or Facebook. But if you're watching this and you don't know me personally, Twitter. Yeah, I think I am gonna get off of here and try and do something productive and, like, mind-numbing to try and get myself to go to bed. Yeah, I'll reach out, and, you know, you'll probably see some... like, probably, like, by the end of the second week of November, if I haven't gotten a job, I'll probably be making posts and calls like, hey, hello, fellow teens, here's my GoFundMe. But we're not there yet, right? We're not quite there yet. And I really am grateful for the amount of friends and family I have. They're like, hey, reach out if you need anything, or let me know how I can help. It's just, you know, so much of this boils down to, I don't really know what people can do to help. What I need is something stable. What I really need is for one of these employers to respond favorably, and that's really outside of a lot of our controls. Now, Luke I've talked about this before, great for giving, like, actionable help and, like, yo, here's an open position that I know of if you want it. Yeah. I need a community. Yeah, I think we all really need a stronger community. My community is spread out across, like, 18 states. Yeah, I need a more compassionate world. Yeah. Now, I am gonna hop off of here. Thanks for hanging out. I really do want to get back into doing shit more normally, but these are very abnormal times. Hopefully once the new Stellaris mod I'm working on is done and dusted, and then I'll have more time to go back to streaming normal shit, but also, like, these are the end times, and I don't know. Until later, I'm gonna say take care, toodaloo. We'll see you by... No, wait. How do I do this? Take care, toodaloo, see you then, bye-bye? No, that doesn't sound like my outro. You know, you get the gist of it.